Hey everybody, welcome back to another reaction video. This one is Halo Changed Everything. And of course I'm speaking about the video game Halo that originally launched on the Xbox system and was really the start of the console wars between PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. I actually opted off for the PlayStation 2. I enjoyed the controllers more. I had already played the PlayStation 1 and actually really liked it. And I looked at the Xbox controllers and just thought, those things are chunky as heck. It's going to be weird to hold. Why are the joysticks diagonal? Like, I was just not fond of it. But there was one game that everyone talked about and everyone played. It was the game that you invited over, whether it was 4 people or 8 people, and you'd link 2 Xboxes together. I actually did that once. I went over to a friend's house. He invited a bunch of people over. We hooked up 2 Xboxes, 2 TVs, and we had an 8-person in-person multiplayer session, and it was super fun. I did kind of regret not having access to that, but that was the only title that I could think of that I was like, that's one game I wish I had when I had the PlayStation 2. So, quite familiar with video games. I play video games. I don't really play online. There's no gamer tag that I'm going to post. I enjoy either in-person multiplayer, which has been weeded out of almost every game in the current generation or even next generation. I guess the next generation is the current generation now. But yeah, I've never gotten into it. I played a little bit online in college. Actually, the first time I played online, I played Call of Duty. Oh, shoot. Which one was it? Modern Warfare 2, I think, online. And I played from, first ever time doing it, I played from 8 p.m. until like 6 a.m. Just straight through. And I came to, like, snapped out of it at 6 a.m. and I'm just like, what happened? I'm like, this is dangerous. I can't do this. And you'd have just, what's amazing is in that game, if you've ever played an online game with like a headset, you can actually hear like the other players, and the majority of the time the other player on the other end of the line is like a 12-year-old kid, and they're just trash talking you and calling you the most ridiculous names on the planet in that high-pitched voice, because their voice hasn't dropped yet, and they're just like, I hate you, I hate you. Oh my gosh, weird experience. I recommend it, but also don't recommend it. But anyway, this was requested by a Patreon subscriber, and if you too would like to join the Patreon, go ahead and hit the link down below in the description to join up. I appreciate it. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let's go.
Halo 2 has been one of the most highly anticipated games probably ever, because the original game was so outstanding.
35, 40 people here, and they're all about Halo, and they all post on these online forums, and they're all like these internet beings that like we finally get to shake hands with.
Yeah, that controller. Oh, it's so epic. I remember the commercials being incredible.
Few video game series have reached the massive heights that the Halo games have. It's a series that exploded out of the gaming community onto Monday Night Football ads, Mountain Dew cans, college dorms, high school cafeteria. I feel like I'm kind of going backwards here, but Halo
was all over
everywhere.
the place.
It was unavoidable. My name is Jakey, and if you'll join
I think the sound's a little off. Let me see if I can...
I'd like to dive deep into how Halo became the gaming monument it is today. Also, Merry Christmas. Shit, I'm allowed to say that, right? I'm just messing around. I run the show. Back in the 90s, before Master Chief was getting Kilimanjaros, Halo developer Bungie was a well-established studio on the Apple Macintosh. That's called irony. Started by Hot Boys Jason Jones.
Macintosh is not known for their gaming ability.
And Alex Seropian, Bungie had released successful games like Marathon, a futuristic FPS that actually introduced using only the mouse to freely look up and down, and Myth, The Fallen Lords, a strategy game that I do not have a fun fact for. When Bungie began development on Halo for Mac and Windows, it actually started out as another top-down RTS type game where the player had these big open worlds that they could explore. During development, the studio...
You know what's funny? The only computer-based games I think I ever played, because my family grew up with just the crappiest... censor myself... just the crappiest computers ever, like Gateways, base models, and like HP base models, like really just the worst stuff. And at that point in time, I was using Napster and Kazaa and whatnot, and just filling those computers with so much like adware and spyware and whatever. It literally just crippled those computers. So there was no way I was about to do any sort of gaming or whatnot. So, the most I ever played games is like very rudimentary. I got them at like the Scholastic Book Fair, if you remember those. If those are even still around, I have no idea. But they would come to your school and they would have a bunch of books, and then they'd have a little section of like PC games. And I remember getting quite a few of those. I'm trying to remember one of the games. I think I got like NBA Live or something like that, or like a flying game or something like that. I can't remember, but that was about the max of my PC gaming. So most of my gaming was done on consoles. We had the original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64. I later got a PS1. I mostly had a PS2. Still have it. Still have all these, by the way. What else? PS2, I went to Xbox 360, and now I have an Xbox One S. And I think, honestly, when I go for next gen, I'm going to go with the PS5.
The third-person perspective would better fit the explorative nature of the game, and in 1999, Steve Jobs introduced the public debut trailer of Halo at the Macworld Expo.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Now, it was around this time that Microsoft was on the hunt for games to launch on their sacred box, and Bill Gates could smell money on them Halo rings. So they bought Bungie Software, turned them into Bungie Studios, moved them out from Chicago out to Washington, and said, look, Bungie boys, gonna go ahead and need you to put the game on the box, please. Okay, thank you. God bless. At some point, Bungie decided that a first-person perspective better fit the design of Halo, and what's cool is that the move to Washington actually influenced the iconic landscapes of the first Halo. The steep cliffs, mountains, large bodies of water, dead space marines. You know, it all really came together. When Halo launched, Microsoft's advertising squad added the subtitle Combat Evolved, and while a part of me doesn't like it, Halo 1 couldn't have had a more fitting title. Halo changed the way people played shooters, in more ways than one, but first, I want to talk about what I mean literally. Also, the holiday spirit is really hot. It was getting hot in there. Halo offered a twin-stick control method where the left stick only controls the movement and the right stick only controls the view. This choice was meant to replicate the setup and precision of a mouse and keyboard, and contrary to popular belief, Halo wasn't the first game to use this control scheme. It was just the first to do it exceptionally well.
What's funny is you realize
twin-stick setup
after you play with it long enough, you get very used to it. So I went from PS2 to Xbox 360, and within maybe a month, I was just like, yep, this is the better controller. And I think it's because they took so much weight and like size out of the Xbox 360 controller compared to the regular Xbox.
You and 64 controllers, but as if As if 3 handles wasn't enough, can I go ahead and have 6 of them, please? There's quite a bit of factors that go into what makes Halo controls feel so good, but a big part is the aim assist. Separated into 4 categories, Halo's free look design came with some minor tools to kind of help the player aim where they want to aim. These are acceleration. Basically, aiming speed starts slow and then starts to speed up the longer you hold a direction. This makes it so that you can react accurately without 360 no-scoping everything. Snapping. Think of this as a sort of soft lock. While the game doesn't completely take over control of your aiming, if you're in movement and an enemy is in view, the game will slower your look speed and sort of drag your view along with an enemy. Friction. Your aiming speed decreases when the reticle passes over an enemy to help you be more precise with your shots. This happens whether you're moving or standing still, but does not work with certain weapons such as the sniper rifle. Bullet magnetism.
I did not know that.
This just means that if your reticle is on a target enough to make it red, the game will be generous with the hitboxes and sort of bend the bullets to hit the target. Not like that though. So the baby geniuses at Microsoft and Bungie made aiming work on a console, and it felt / feels really good. But what about jumping, weapons, grenades, melee, crouching? What about all that stuff? Enter the control scheme / shooter design that nearly every single console shooter still uses. Like, seriously, it's barely changed since 2001 and Halo 1 still does it better than most. Whoa dude, that's wacky ass. Not only did the lack of immediately accessible buttons on a controller impact the control scheme of Halo, but it was the structure of the game itself. During the development of Halo's combat and AI, it was actually the sense of exploration in open environments from the earlier versions of the game that led to Halo's free-form combat approach. Wide open areas instead of hallway shooting galleries meant making AI enemies that weren't scripted, but instead could make their own decisions and deal with a variety of combat situations. This made every encounter feel fresh and organic. And to quote a Bungie dev, Jamie Greismer said, I think the main goal with the Chief as a character was that he sort of always has the ability to use the tools that he has at his disposal well enough to accomplish his objectives. So you don't always get to choose what weapon you're gonna have. You don't always get to choose what
you just pick up
vehicle
whatever
you're gonna get, but the Chief is just so incredibly competent at everything that you're going to be able to use whatever tool you can scrounge up, that you're going to be able to overcome whatever fight you're in. The reason I'm going on this design tangent in relation to the controls is because they fit each other perfectly. Unlike PC shooters where you have this giant arsenal of guns.
Yeah, most of the game is just running out of ammo and then picking up whatever gun you can find and hoping it has enough bullets or energy or whatever to use it. And what was it this one that the Needler was like the best gun ever, or was it this Halo 2 where the Needler was like way overpowered?
Just go through on your keyboard. In Halo, you can only carry 2 weapons
it became
at
like
once,
the best gun
but
ever.
you can pick up any weapon that an enemy drops except the sword, but because that's coming later. Not only did this make it easier on the control scheme because it was just, go ahead and hit that Y button if you want to change your gun, but it added a sense of strategy and customization. You may find an ammo stash to refill your Magnum and assault rifle that you already have, but there might also be a sniper rifle there. But the sniper only comes with like 10 rounds, so you'd have to make all your shots count.
Right.
It's these choices that create a different experience for every person that plays, and Halo's great selection of weapons made...
How many times are you by the new guns or whatever where they're in the holsters and you're scrolling through, you're looking at the ground, you're picking it up, nope, picking it up, nope, picking it up, nope. You're just looking for like the right one to use.
For a lot of fun and strategic combos to use. It maybe also helped that you're playing as a goddamn super soldier. Master Chief, he can melee attack with any weapon at the press of a button. That's the B button. He can throw grenades farther than Brett Favre throws pigskins on Monday night at the touch of a button. L trigger. He can jump ridiculously high. A button. He can easily zoom in while aiming with certain guns. I don't know, go ahead and click that right stick in. He can strategically teabag his enemies whenever he wants. Click the left stick. And he can stop the action whenever he damn well pleases. That's the start button. But Strategy. Along with the 2 weapon setup, another Halo design choice that's stuck around since 2001 is the regenerating shield. While this may not suit all modern shooters, it complemented Halo's combat situations
it was
beautifully.
beautiful.
It encouraged a more offensive approach to combat because it gave you some wiggle room to work with before your health began to drop. It became a game about testing your limits and skills under pressure, while also acknowledging your environment from when you needed to back off and recollect yourself. It was
That's
a big
the best part
combination of the game's control scheme and its design.
What's funny is Call of Duty does that too, in the fact that, you know, your screen starts to glow red or whatever, and then you just back off. And it's created almost like an offense and then retreat, cover, offense. So you're always like coming back, going forward, coming back, going forward. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The entire game. And I guess it started there.
That made Halo so easily accessible, yet so incredibly deep. It also helped that the sound effects were fat and explosive. The animations made guns like the assault rifle feel like they're gonna destroy your hands, and the non-intrusive HUD was simple, but gave you all the information you needed.
Right.
It's a game that welcomed casual players with open arms, but had the depth to entertain the hardcore enthusiast. And this is why the multiplayer exploded. Multiplayer split screen had existed on console for a while at this point, with games like Perfect Dark or personal favorite, Conker's Bad Fur Day. While they had a skill ceiling for things to get competitive, they never quite reached the heights of their PC counterparts. Halo bridged that gap with Combat Evolved's deep gameplay and its system link features. 4 Xboxes, 4 TVs, 4 Halos, and 16 gamer girls, 16-player matches of Slayer, King of the Hill, Capture the Flag, and whatever other modes you and your buddies came up with became possible on console. This is where Halo's massive growth truly began. I mean, this game was like crack. It was so accessible and addictive.
I tried to play with a friend Halo 5 in-person multiplayer. Not doable. I looked it up online. I saw people complaining about it. And I'm like, God, really? The one game that started it all? Or, well, not start it all, but at least it had it. And they got rid of it. And it's like, not everyone games online. And if you have someone with you, it'd be great to be able to do that.
Still trying to play Halo were a dime a dozen. Kids held LAN parties. Adults
So we actually had to go back and play Halo 3 multi.
Held tournaments. To say that you were the best at Halo were some fierce fighting words. Because Xbox Live wasn't launched until 2002, the only way to get your Halo fix was with real people. Master Chiefs would drive across the country to play Halo, and an inconvenience of no online play actually helped build a massive community of fans and lovers of Halo that would connect over a game.
It was beautiful in the fact that you had to actually be in the room, and when you were talking to someone, like shit-talking them, you had to do it to their face. That's what was so good. And I can't tell you how many times like fights were started just because of that.
Shooting each other in the face. Being able to shit talk with the people across the hall, reflecting on awesome moments of teamwork with new friends post-game, the LAN parties were a beautiful thing. Speaking of beautiful things, you didn't think I wouldn't talk about the music, did you?
Oh.
Composed by Marty O'Donnell, Halo's soundtrack captured something special, something otherworldly for a video game. Wanting to make something ancient sounding, Marty, just play the clip.
There was no musical ideas at that point, and all of a sudden in 1999, 2 days before, or just a few days before Macworld 99, when Steve Jobs came back, we had an opportunity to show Halo for the first time to an audience. And so it was during his keynote address, and we had this great opportunity. So one of the guys here, Joe Staten, who's our writer, came to me and said, we need to be able to show Halo off to the world. And I said, well, we need really great music for that, so give me a shot at writing something. And so I knew just the general idea of what it was going to be, and we decided it needed to sound epic, mysterious, and ancient. And I was driving over to the studio and
all
thought,
those
well,
words
ancient,
describe it.
Monks sound ancient, and I started singing some monk chants in my head and came up with that melody and came in and recorded it, and boom.
So good. Best.
It was a combination of so many things: the world, the gameplay, the vehicles, the music, and the amazing multiplayer that made Halo's presence impossible to ignore. In the years following its release, the fan base grew. A PC port with a dedicated community and modders proved that it was ripe for online play. Fan creations like Red vs. Blue exploded in popularity. The stage was set for a sequel, one that somehow had to be better than the original, one that was ready for Xbox Live. When I started writing this video, my plan was to talk about all 3 of the original Halo games, but as you just watched, there was so much to say on just the first one alone. I'd like to make a follow-up video, maybe 2 more of them, about the other 2 giants in this original trilogy, but what do you guys think? What's your favorite Halo? Do you like the flood levels? Slide into my DM on Twitter and I'll 1v1 Magnums only you on a hang 'em high. Before we part ways on this holiday though, I gotta ask you one thing. Does Halo CE stand for Halo Combat Evolved, or Halo Changed Everything? Till next time, I'll see you guys next week or something. Dark bless.
If I had Halo, well, actually, I think when Halo was in the swing of it, I think my brothers and I were still playing the N64. I almost said NES. Oh my god, N64. I think we were still on like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and Mario Kart. I mean, those games lasted us so many years. I had 2 other brothers, and we just, I mean, that's a built-in multiplayer right there, right? Free for all, you know, everybody goes for everybody else. When we got done with GoldenEye, we went to Perfect Dark, and then eventually we got a PlayStation, so I didn't get to actually play the Xbox version of Halo until I went over to a friend's house, and then we did that big tournament of like 8 people and hooked up 2 and 2 TVs. Man, that was so fun. I just remember falling in love with that game instantly. Now, the controls were much different than the PlayStation, so I didn't play very well. But over the years, especially when I got an Xbox 360, I threw in the backwards compatible Halo 3 and just played that nonstop. Played it online a bit. Significantly younger crowd online as opposed to Call of Duty. I remember this one time. I was just screwing with my teammates, and I was driving a Warthog, and I was just running right into like barriers and walls and stuff like that. And the teammate that was on the Warthog was just like, "You're a terrible driver," with like the highest pitch prepubescent voice I've ever heard in my life. It was so great. It was so good. I just remember thinking, like, this kid is nowhere near like a driver's license, and he's calling me a terrible driver, and I'm just screwing with him, obviously. But it was so funny. But yeah, Halo affected the entire first-person shooter. Well, first-person shooter. It was a third-person shooter, but it affected literally everything, first and third, till this day. I mean, I guess if we really want to say GoldenEye really did that, but Halo took it to like a next level, like the online play that we're still doing today. I mean, until Fortnite, where everything changed to like 100 people playing at a time, it was pretty much the Halo model for every online multiplayer throughout Call of Duty and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, it changed everything. It did. I'd say GoldenEye had a bit of a bigger impact just because it was kind of like the first big one. But, yeah, I love Halo. I played Halo 3, as I said, a couple weekends ago, and I played it for like 7 hours. 7 hours playing co-op the story levels, and it was so much fun. So much fun. It's almost like it came out yesterday. I mean, the graphics are a little long in the tooth, let's be honest, but it was still so much fun. I highly recommend it. If you have it, go back and play it, especially after watching this. That was a ample dose of nostalgia, and I might play it after I get done with this. So anyway, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. That was a great video. Man, takes me back. Takes me back to those days of playing in-person multiplayer. And I can't believe Halo 5 doesn't have it. I was just, at the time, I'm like, what the heck? Halo is known for this. I know it adds space to the game and, you know, they don't want to have to do that and whatnot, but come on. Come on, Halo. What are you doing? Anyway, my rant is over. See you in the next one.